It is out of character for her to not be in touch with family and friends.
Tell you a bit about me? I am.
You are so loved and you are so missed.
She's amazing.
I'm so ashamed. I'm so angry. I don't want her to stop talking. Put my hand over her mouth. I didn't let her say things. My hands got tired. I used belts.
Just please let us know that you're okay wherever you are.
He could have done some really amazing things if she'd been given the time to.
On December 1st, 2014, in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, a 25-year-old performance artist, stand-up comedian, and voice actor, Shannon Madill Burgess, is reported missing by her family. Erin Madill, Shannon's sister, along with her parents, brothers, and sister-in-law, and Shannon's husband, stand before the media.
Josh, this is Shannon's husband. This is my mother, Lisa. This is Lindsay, our sister-in-law. Our brother, Brett. This is my other brother, Tyler. And that's my father, David.
Hopeful and pleading for Shannon's safe return.
This is my sister. She's a lovely, outgoing girl. And Shannon, if you see this, please, you're not in trouble. We all love you and we miss you so much. We don't need to know where you are. We just want to know that you're safe.
Welcome to Crime's Anatomy. I'm your host, Victor. I cover weekly true crime cases from around the world. To show your appreciation for my work, drop a like at any point throughout this video and consider subscribing to receive notifications of upcoming cases. Let's go. On November 30th, 2014, Shannon was supposed to meet her brother, Brett, at Stage West Theatre restaurant, but she never showed up. Now, according to her family, Shannon can be a bit fickle and scatterbrained at times. She has a history of forgetting things and not showing up for plans. So, initially, they weren't too alarmed. Her dad texted her right away, reminding her about dinner with Brett, but he didn't get a response. He tried again the next day. Still nothing. At this point, he started to worry. He thought maybe Shannon knew he was upset. Therefore, Shannon didn't answer his phone calls. He called Erin, Shannon's older sister, as Shannon was close to her and likely to answer her calls. Then, the whole family called her, but again, there was no response. Now, it wasn't unusual for Shannon to not pick up her phone because she often worked gigs as a voice actor, and she would often stay up night for recordings, as she could record and concentrate better at that time. Shannon's sister, Erin, left a message asking Shannon to let her family know she was okay. December 1st. Another day has passed, and their concerns grew. Yet, still no word from Shannon. Erin decided to visit Shannon's home, where she lived with her husband Josh. But Josh said Shannon hadn't come back home for a few days. He assumed she went to Edmonton. That same day, Josh found Shannon's cell phone in their home, tucked away in a pair of jeans. This was alarming. They all assumed she had left with her cell phone. Now their stress and anxiety reached a new level, and Shannon's father went to make a report directly with the police. The family told the police that Shannon was last seen in the early morning hours, post-midnight, of Thursday, November 27th, at her home on Spiller Road. Josh said he went to bed as usual, and Shannon stayed up. The next day, he didn't see her in the morning and assumed she went to Edmonton for work, as she had done so on many prior occasions, such as the previous weekend. According to her family, while it was common for her to go incognito for a few days, it was not usual for her to miss appointments and cut off all communications with them. Let's take a closer look at Shannon's past. Shannon worked as a performance artist and stand-up comedian and frequently made the 300-kilometer or 186-mile trip to Edmonton for work. In fact, she was there the previous weekend, and her family assumed this is where she went on November 27th. But reaching out to her contacts in Edmonton, no one said they met Shannon that weekend. Shannon, being the youngest of 4 children, was always taken care of as the baby of the family, loved and cherished by her 2 brothers, sister, and of course her parents. She was a fantastic up-and-coming voice actor and was praised for narrating multiple characters in the audiobooks she worked on. Growing up, her talents shined, and she was an accomplished musician, playing 15 musical instruments, including the trombone and French horn, and being successful in drama school. Friends described her for having a goofy sense of humor, and she would often make time to volunteer at the local animal shelter such as the SPCA, help children, and donate blood. She loved her dog, a large one which looked like an Alaskan Malamute, and she was often seen walking it at the local park. Her main passion was acting, being in the spotlight and natural with her microphone. After graduating high school, she briefly went to university, but left to pursue a career in acting, her dream. Shannon loved to joke around, and her sister recalls how they would often tease each other, saying that you've made it as a celebrity when you've got a stalker. But now realizing this inside joke may have manifested itself into a horrifying possibility. Shannon's family were very close to her husband Josh. They recall Shannon told them how she met Josh at a party when she was just 21, and they really enjoyed each other's company. He was timid and shy, and she was more outgoing, and they perfectly complemented each other. He would often make her laugh, in a similar way that her charisma and goofiness would do the same for everyone else. Within a month of meeting, Shannon brought Josh to meet her close-knit family. They liked him and welcomed him with open arms. After 4 years of dating, they decided to get married in 2014. The wedding was set for May the 4th because they were Star Wars fans and May the 4th be with you. In the following months, though, she would frequently travel for auditions and other gigs, which was difficult for the newlywed couple, but they were determined to make it work. There was a prevailing theory that she left for Edmonton, but there were no signs of Shannon anywhere. The investigation into Shannon's disappearance raised some alarming questions. Why did she leave her phone at home? Why didn't she log into Facebook as she regularly did? Was she intentionally trying to disappear? Or did something terrible happen to her? Also, in Calgary, temperatures were below freezing. If Shannon was out there, people feared the worst. Then, 2 weeks later, an eerie discovery was made. Photos of a woman, her face obscured by hair and flowers, were found attached to trees in Calgary Park. The woman in the photos resembled Shannon. Police immediately launched a search in Fish Creek Provincial Park, spending 2 days scouring the area, even bringing in cadaver dogs, but the search turned up empty. The photos turned out to be unrelated to Shannon. They were part of a student project, and those involved came forward to the police. Shannon's prolonged absence only increased the anguish of her family and loved ones. Then, weeks later, her sister recalled an incident where Josh told them that Shannon had considered jumping into the river. Shannon's family feared she might have now acted upon this and drowned. They requested police to search along the Bow River, which Shannon liked to go for walks, but that search too came out empty. By May 2015, 6 months had passed since her disappearance, with no progress to show. Shannon's loved ones were devastated. They just wanted to find out what happened to her and have some closure. Their wishes were answered when Detective Christina Witt took on the case. She had a reputation for being very thorough, and while she was working in the missing persons department now, had previously worked homicide cases. She decided to take a fresh look at Shannon's case, from the beginning, examining everyone in Shannon's life, starting with her husband, Josh. From the outset, Josh was very cooperative. He allowed investigators into their home on at least 2 occasions, and nothing suspicious was found. He was open and forthcoming in interviews as well. Josh and Shannon's family had supported each other throughout this ordeal. The family only had good things to say about Josh, especially how he loved and cared for Shannon. However, as the investigations progressed, a different side of the relationship emerged. Detectives discovered that Josh had an active online dating profile on the website OkCupid. His profile showed that he was looking for, quote, new friends for short-term dating, and he was, quote, mostly non-monogamous. But wasn't he a married man? It turns out they were in an open marriage. Shannon's sister, Erin, was aware of it. She admitted that both Shannon and Josh agreed on an open marriage. Josh wanted to have a girlfriend on the side, and Shannon enjoyed having her flings. However, while they weren't committed to each other physically, they were committed emotionally. Despite their open relationship, they were dedicated to each other. To make the relationship work, Shannon and Josh would openly discuss anything. Shannon would even meet Josh's girlfriends. With this new information, now Detective Witt wondered, did jealousy play a role in her disappearance? Detective Witt first interviewed about 7 people Shannon had been acquainted with, but found nothing out of the ordinary. She found out that a month before Shannon went missing, Josh and Shannon decided to close off their open relationship arrangement. They agreed to cut ties with all their side relationships and focus on each other and their marriage. However, about a week later, Sharon found out that Josh was still seeing his girlfriend on the side. She discovered this through messages on Josh's phone. Josh was supposed to break up with his girlfriend in person, but instead, when he met her, he told her he would leave his wife for her instead. Shannon was livid. Josh betrayed her trust, and she had had enough. She decided to move out and eventually relocate to Edmonton. During this transition period, Shannon and Josh lived under the same roof, but rarely saw each other due to their opposite work schedules. On the night Shannon disappeared, Josh said he spoke to her briefly before going to bed. Was this what really happened? Forensic examination revealed that Shannon's digital footprint ended abruptly on November 27, 2014, because after 12:30 a.m., there were no more bank transactions, emails, texts, or any other activity on her accounts. Everything stopped, except for some mysterious phone activity 12 hours later in an alley near her home. Searches of the area proved inconclusive. On July 8, 2015, police went to Josh's home with a search warrant for his car and cell phone. They also wanted to speak to him, but he refused to come out. Within the first 10 minutes of their conversation, Josh became very emotional, started crying, and then blurted out, "I killed my wife." Detective Witt was surprised to hear this, but she needed to give Josh time to calm down and open the door. They spoke for an hour and a half outside his house on the phone. When Josh finally emerged, he was only wearing his boxers, was covered in blood. He had attempted to cut his neck with a knife. Josh was rushed to the hospital to get his superficial wound stitched up. After a psychological evaluation, he was brought in for questioning. Meanwhile, the police obtained another search warrant to thoroughly search his home. During the early stages of interrogation, Josh seemed distraught and wasn't willing to say much. When shown a photo of Shannon, he kept crying and saying he loved her and missed her.
I really miss her.
You miss her?
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at this picture and tell me what you would say to her if you could.
Same thing I always said to her.
Yeah? What was that?
That I love her very much.
This time at his home, police used cadaver dogs, and the dogs led them to 2 shovels and the front yard. Digging through the front yard, detectives located Shannon's remains. Had she been there the whole time, left to rot and decompose in the very home they had searched twice before? The next day, during interrogation, Josh was confronted by the fact that police had found the body. This time, Josh couldn't hold back. He cried and recounted how it all happened. According to Josh, he arrived home in the early morning hours of November 27th and got into a fight with Shannon. A while later, when things calmed down, he asked Shannon if they could have angry make-up sex. Shannon agreed.
I just asked her if she wanted to have angry makeup sex, and I was happy. But it was pretty rough. And I told her we didn't have to do that. We could just make love.
Mm-hmm.
And Josh said he was surprised by how rough and passionate it was. He thought this made up for the argument earlier, and now that their frustrations were released, things would be good again between them. But no, this was a misunderstanding. See, Shannon thought Josh said breakup, not makeup.
She thought I said breakup sex. She got so mad at me.
What type of mean things did she say to you that night?
She was angry with him and was so done with him. She told him this was their last and final time. This was their breakup. She told Josh she was disgusted by him, angry. How dare he play her by telling his girlfriend that he was going to dump his wife for her? How could he be so naive and stupid to think she wouldn't find out?
She said she regretted marrying me. She said she regretted marrying you? She could have done all this on her own. She could have done what on her own? Her career. She didn't need me.
Continuing, she reminded him that she didn't need him. She was doing fine working on a career by herself. Then she said she regretted ever marrying him. Admittedly, this is when Josh said he snapped. He put his hands over Shannon's mouth to keep her quiet. When that wasn't enough, he grabbed her neck with both hands and held it down with force, strangling her with his hands. He held on even as she fought back. Then he said, "When my hands got tired, I went to get a belt to finish her off," and continued watching TV.
I just wanted her to stop talking. You wanted her to stop talking? But what was she saying? She never wanted to see me again. She never wanted to see you again? No. She said she was disgusted touching me. What else did she say? I didn't let her say anything else. I'm so ashamed. I'm so angry. I put my hand over her mouth, and she bit me. She screamed bloody murder. She bit you? She screamed. And she screamed. I just wanted her to be quiet. I didn't hurt her. I just couldn't listen to that anymore. Put my hands around her neck. Put your hands around her neck? Yeah. Dude. Hey. No. I don't. I killed her with my hands. When my hands got tired, I used a belt. I don't know why. You used a belt? I don't know why. I just didn't stop. Mm-hmm. I could just stopped. I could just walked away. I don't know why. I don't know.
He cries here and admits that he could have stopped. He should have stopped, but he was so mad, and she wouldn't stop talking. Josh then put Shannon's body in a plastic bin covered with plastic bottles. Her body stayed on the patio of the home they shared throughout winter. It remained here all this time in a frozen state, even when the police searched his house twice before they ever suspected anything. When the ground thawed, Josh dug a hole in the lawn and buried her there, covered her body in dirt, branches, and cement slabs. This happened just 2 weeks before Detective Witt came to his home with the search warrant. Josh said he buried her in the yard because he didn't want her to leave. December 2017, prosecutors charged Joshua with second-degree murder, and he pleaded not guilty. The day before this trial, he changed his plea to guilty. The plea spared Madill's family from sitting through all the details and evidence that would be presented at a longer trial. During the trial, Shannon's family gave heart-wrenching impact statements about Shannon and the betrayal they felt from Josh. Shannon's sister, Erin, spoke through her tears. "He kept us suffering for so long, intentionally keeping us in limbo," she said. "Spending 7 months looking for my sister was the hardest thing I have ever done. My mind would go to the darkest places, wondering where she could be and what happened to her. When she was finally found, a whole new dark period started." Shannon's dad, David, directed his words at Josh, saying, "I hope this is the last day I ever see you." The community was stunned. There had been no history of domestic conflict or violence in Josh and Shannon's relationship. Neighbors were surprised to hear that the normal guy with a quiet dog had been charged with second-degree murder. "I see this guy every week a couple of times. He's a normal guy," said John Wysocki, a neighbor. "They are normal people. It's very hard to believe." John Burgess had lived in the home for nearly 2 years, and his actions left a community in disbelief. In the end, Joshua was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for 10 years. Shannon's family mentions the disappointment and betrayal they felt by the man they treated as family. David Madill, Shannon's father, told court he felt he had failed his daughter by not keeping her safe, but never thought Josh was a threat. Shannon's mother also spoke of the betrayal she felt by Josh, how they all trusted and comforted him, and how he all betrayed them at the same time. Shannon Madill, may you rest in peace. These cases are always difficult because it's real people who have lost someone so close to them. I welcome you to comment, a reminder, keep it respectful.